Okay, welcome back to the channel. Something a little different today. We'll be using Killies, but first I'm going to locate them with the single jig. So this is pure nostalgia fishing for me. This is how I used to fish for Fluke as a kid before Gulp came out, and I caught a lot of fish on the Killie. It's especially useful in colder water early season and back bays and rivers. They don't really see Killies that much out front. My rig is basically a 12 to 14 inch 8-pound fluorocarbon leader to a number 2 or number 3 drop shot hook. And I'll leave a link to everything down below. The reason for the light leader and the small hook is the freer your Killie can swim, the more bites you're going to get. And the difference can be pretty significant. Now you see the way I'm fishing it, I'm casting it out. I'm always using my pedals to stay in place. I never just drift with the wind or current. That's not how I prefer to fish. Um, so I spot lock myself with the Mirage drive, then I cast up current. So the Killie hits the bottom. I'm using a 1/4 ounce weight right here, and I'm just slowly dragging it back. And as soon as I feel a hit, I'm going to set the hook. And the hook set is sort of a drop shot hook set. I'm going to reel down to the fish and just lean back. Nice and easy. It's a very small hook, very sharp hook. And 8-pound, you can pull pretty hard on 8-pound leader, but if you have a big fish, you're going to want to take it easy. Small hook. By no means a giant, but a solid 19.5, 20-inch keeper. So you notice I'm going to show you every single fish I caught on the Killie that day for as long as I was using Killies. And 99% of them are hooked right at the lip. So it's the kind of fishing that you have to pay attention to. Obviously, you're using a very small hook, so if you hesitate, they are going to swallow it, and you will gut hook every single fish. So this is not something that you stick your rod in the rod holder and just drift and dream. Very active kind of fishing, at least the way I do it. So you notice there that my sinker setup is a little bit convoluted. That's only because it's an old experiment for a freshwater technique. You can use an egg sinker, a Carolina sinker, the lightest weight possible to get you to depth. So here we're fishing, deepest part is maybe 12, 13 feet. So 1/4 ounce with the current that we're dealing with is more than enough. The important thing is do not tie the other end of your sinker directly to your braid. Always use a fluorocarbon leader. In this case, I'm using 10-pound from the braid, then the sinker, and then 8-pound to the hook. The rod and reel I'm using here is my Shimano X Pride B 610 medium light, very soft kind of drop shot rod, and the Stella FK. Has an excellent drag. You obviously don't need a Stella for any kind of saltwater fishing, but if you have it, use it because if you hook into a giant, it's going to help you land it. Oh man. So just a note on how to keep your Killies alive. The best way is the way I showed you a little earlier. You want ice on the bottom of a small cooler and maybe a towel or some sort of Tupperware container where you pour the Killies in dry. And you don't want to stack them too deep. So pretty much a single layer of Killies. You can keep them moist if you have damp seaweed or damp newspaper, although I find just occasionally splashing a little bit of water on top of them is fine. You just don't want them submerged in water. They evolve so they can breathe air directly. And if you keep them cold and dry, well, moist, but not submerged in water, they will last a few days like that. So, pretty remarkable fish and sort of the ideal bait fish. If you have to use live bait, Killies are one of the easiest ones to keep alive. You don't need bubblers. You don't need to drag a little bait bucket around. Just do it like I told you to, and you'll be fine. All right, so this is pretty typical of killie fishing. You're going to catch a lot of very small fish. And, this is when I switch back to Gulp just for a little bit, just to see if there's a difference in the quality. And you'll see on my first cast, I catch another keeper. Okay. So that's a long and skinny fish and pretty typical of that first wave of fluke that pushes in from the ocean. Now, in terms of gulp versus killies, to me, if you just want to catch fluke, there's really no contest. You can cover water so much more efficiently with gulp on a single jig head. Anywhere you're fishing that shallow from shore, kayak, boat, the gulp on a single jig is hard to beat. But the killie, like I said, once every 10 years, it's not a bad trip down memory lane, at least not for me. In any case, you notice there, my sinker got hung up on some weeds, and I sort of mistimed the hook set. So this will be the only fluke that day that swallowed the hook. Unfortunately, it turned out to be slightly over slot size, so I was able to give it away. Oh, maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Not bad. Alright, so the tide changed and the bite sort of died in that area. So I made a small shift, and as usual, I'm starting off with Gulp just to see if I can locate any fish. And again, immediate results. And here I'm using the 4-inch grub. I don't think it really makes a difference now. There's not that much bait in the water this early in the season, but generally speaking, 4-inch Gulp, 6-inch jerk shad, those two profiles are the only ones I carry. So my casting setup is the X Pride B72 medium light. The reel is the Daiwa Alpha's SVTW.
Is that the one that flew back?
I don't know. I think it's a little bigger.
Shoulders to it?
Oh man.
Oh, I swallowed it?
Okay, so here's the last Killie fish of the day, and of course it's a short. But in closing, let me just say this. This video is in no way an endorsement of Killie fishing. In my opinion, there's almost no place for it anymore. I really can't think of a situation where Killies or any sort of live bait on the inshore grounds can outfish a properly worked gulp on a single jig. But in any case, I hope you find this content interesting. I'm always trying to mix it up a little bit, even though it's fluke video after fluke video. That's what people want to watch on this channel, I understand. But there's only so many single jig gulp videos I can make in a season. In any case, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.